Survival is a merciless finish line. Power must be purchased with blood and scars that never fade. Those who hesitate will be crushed. On the battlefield, it is audacity that dictates the rules. And the last one standing claims dominion over all. The midday sun blazes down upon the parched, golden grasslands of the African savanna. A ribbon of acacia trees along the riverbank offers rare slivers of shade against the punishing noon glare. Concealed within that dappled shadow lies the leopard, the most ruthless and patient assassin of the open plains. Its rosette-patterned coat blends flawlessly with the splintered sunlight filtering through thorny branches, rendering its body utterly invisible to the grazing herds beyond. The leopard's quarry is a group of impala, grazing contentedly on tufts of dry grass, blissfully unaware of the danger lurking just yards away. Impala possess extraordinarily keen senses of smell, and their ears rotate ceaselessly, scanning for even the faintest whisper carried on the wind. The leopard advances fraction by fraction, each paw set down upon the dry grass with such exquisite care that not a single blade rustles. When the gap narrows to roughly 33 feet, the coiled muscles across the leopard's shoulders lock tight, then explode. The attack erupts at nearly 37 miles per hour. Sensing mortal danger in broad daylight, the impala springs almost 10 feet into the air in a desperate bid for freedom. But the leopard's spectacular lunge has anticipated the trajectory. Sharp hooves are snagged by merciless claws and dragged earthward in a single devastating motion. Within moments of the kill, the leopard summons an extraordinary feat of muscular power, hauling the carcass, roughly 110 pounds of dead weight, up into the fork of an acacia tree, some 13 feet above the ground. It is a critical survival tactic in the daylight hours, safeguarding the fruits of its labor from the larger predators that patrol below. Across another sun-drenched stretch of grassland, a pair of grey-crowned cranes stroll with unhurried elegance, foraging as they go. With their resplendent golden crown of feathers fanned wide beneath the sun, and pale, intelligent eyes gleaming, each grey-crowned crane steps with the measured grace of a proud dancer. They perform exquisite wing-spreading displays, a language of courtship that reinforces a bond forged for life. The deep, resonant call of the grey-crowned crane carries far across the daytime landscape, functioning as a natural alarm system for the herbivores grazing nearby. The serene presence of these magnificent birds offers a fleeting brushstroke of tranquility amid an ecosystem defined by relentless struggle. We return now to the Serengeti grasslands, bathed in the searing radiation of the midday sun where temperatures have reached their punishing peak. This is the domain of the oryx, a creature of almost supernatural endurance on the African plains. With a pale silver-grey coat that reflects sunlight, and the remarkable ability to elevate its own body temperature to 113 degrees Fahrenheit to conserve precious water, the oryx stands in open defiance of the scorching heat. Its most formidable weapon is a pair of straight, upright horns, over 3 feet long, honed to needle-sharp points, like twin steel lances, ready to impale any adversary that dares approach. And it is here, in this unforgiving crucible, that a band of adolescent lions has resolved to undertake their very first hunt without the guidance of the adults in their pride. The young lions position themselves with surprising cunning beneath scattered bushes, stalking in silence and coordinating their approach to corner a solitary oryx. Driven to bay, the oryx does not flee. Yet the speed and encircling tactics of the young lions gradually dismantle its defenses. The battle ends in stillness, where courage and the collective strategy of the pride have drawn the line between life and death. This resounding victory delivers not merely a lavish meal, but marks a monumental rite of passage. The glory of a first kill belongs to these bold young hunters, a proud confirmation of their sharpening predatory instincts, forged in the courage to face mortal peril beneath the blazing sun. The surface of the Amazon glints beneath the tropical sun, its deceptively placid waters concealing the slow, measured heartbeat of Colombia's primeval forest. Dark canopies cast their reflections upon the river, composing a portrait of natural splendor so serene it seems impossible that any ripple of danger could exist. But here, every footstep could be your last. Deep within Colombia's rainforest, a wilderness spanning thousands of square miles, a biological skyscraper rises, comprised of 5 distinct ecological floors, each separate, yet inextricably bound to the others. Here, hundreds of species are locked in a ceaseless war for survival, where the boundary between hunter and hunted shifts with every few feet of altitude. Who truly holds the power of life and death within nature's skyscraper? Without warning, the water's surface erupts as a massive dark form launches from the steep riverbank, shattering the silence of the river. The jaguar, the supreme predator of the Americas, unlike other great cats that target the throat, the jaguar possesses the most powerful bite force of any feline on Earth. Its long canine teeth drive clean through the caiman's skull, armored like steel plate, ending the confrontation in mere seconds. Colombia sits at the crossroads of 3 colossal ecosystems: the Andes mountain range, the Amazon basin, and the Orinoco plains, receiving a staggering annual rainfall exceeding 118 inches. This extraordinary diversity of terrain renders it the most biologically dense region per square mile on the planet. Nature's skyscraper here divides into 5 unmistakable floors. From the dark river depths, through the dense forest floor, the mid-story, the canopy, and up to Yanda's vault of the open sky. But the jaguar is the one creature that refuses to respect these boundaries, willing to cross every level in its relentless pursuit of life. Among the dense thickets lining the riverbank, another colossal form slides silently into the water. The green anaconda, the heaviest reptile on Earth, glides with the fluid ease of molten glass through the tangle of aquatic vegetation. Contrary to the wildly inflated legends, rigorous field studies confirm that adult females typically weigh between 130 and 220 pounds. An olive green hide, patterned with round black spots, provides impeccable camouflage among the floating water hyacinths and riverbed mud. Unlike other python species equipped with heat-sensing pits along the lip, the anaconda possesses no thermal detection organs whatsoever. Instead, its forked tongue flickers, ceaselessly capturing scent molecules from the air and delivering them to the Jacobson's organ in the roof of its mouth. This chemical olfactory system allows the anaconda to construct a three-dimensional map of its prey, even in the murkiest of waters. The anaconda can consume prey many times the diameter of its own body, thanks to jaw joints that flex freely rather than locking rigid. Following a large meal, the process of digestion stretches across several weeks, during which the anaconda must lie motionless in the shade, utterly vulnerable. Yet even with its overwhelming power, the anaconda remains wary of threats invisible to the naked eye. For beneath these waters lurk creatures armed with a weapon so extraordinary that even this giant reptile treats them with profound respect. The middle story encompasses the riverside vegetation, the marshy floodplains, and the dense understory of Colombia's rainforest. Here, shafts of sunlight pierce through gaps in the foliage, but the pressure to survive intensifies many times over. Commanding the shallow waterways is the giant otter, a sleek, muscular predator, stretching up to 6.5 feet in length and weighing some 70 pounds. They live in tight-knit family groups, communicating through an astonishing repertoire of 22 distinct vocalizations to coordinate every action with military precision. Their most frequent underwater adversary is the red-bellied piranha, a fish armed with interlocking tricuspid teeth as sharp as surgical scalpels. Contrary to sensationalized myth, Piranhas feed primarily on carrion or attack prey that is already injured. This place also nurtures a creature of singular importance, the most sought-after quarry in all 5 floors of nature's skyscraper. A gentle soul, yet one that occupies the very heart of the Amazon's food web. Hiding among the tall riverside grasses is the capybara, the largest rodent on Earth, tipping the scales at up to 145 pounds. Its barrel-shaped body stretches over 3 feet in length, clad in coarse brown fur that allows it to vanish effortlessly into the wild undergrowth. They live in herds of 10 to 40 individuals, maintaining a vigilance network of extraordinary discipline. Partially webbed feet transform these oversized rodents into remarkably adept swimmers the moment danger strikes. They can hold their breath and remain submerged for up to 5 minutes at a stretch, slipping beneath the surface to evade the killers that prowl above. When a sentinel detects a threat, it unleashes a sharp, guttural bark, a rasping alarm that sends the entire herd plunging into the water. And yet, the river has never been an entirely safe refuge for this gentle giant. The capybara stands at the critical junction of the Amazon's ecological food web, the nexus upon which everything else depends. Feeding abundantly on wild grasses and aquatic vegetation, they convert vast quantities of plant energy into an enormous reserve of living biomass. That biomass, in turn, sustains every apex predator across the length and breadth of South America. Without the capybara, the entire power structure of the middle and lower floors would collapse in an instant. They accept their role as prey to maintain the unbroken flow of energy through the primeval forest. It is the quiet sacrifice of a gentle creature upon the blazing battlefield of survival. But just beyond the riverside grasslands, where the dense forest canopy begins to close overhead, another biological mystery lies in wait. If you enjoy authentic, in-depth nature documentaries, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss the next episode. That mystery resides in a creature of vanishingly small size, the polar opposite of the massive capybara. A colossus of toxicity, reigning supreme in the guise of a tiny twig. It is living proof that in the natural world, power does not always belong to the largest. Let us venture deeper into the damp undergrowth to encounter the most dangerous creature in all of Colombia. Concealed beneath layers of moist, decaying leaves in Colombia's Pacific Choco rainforest is the poison dart frog. Measuring a mere 1.5 to 2 inches in length, this diminutive amphibian wears a vivid lemon-yellow coat, a blazing advertisement of lethal intent. The skin of a single frog harbors roughly 1,000 to 1,900 micrograms of batrachotoxin. That dose is sufficient to kill 10 to 20 adult humans, or fell a full-grown elephant within minutes. Batrachotoxin attacks the sodium channels within nerve cells directly, triggering immediate cardiac failure and respiratory paralysis. Contrary to common assumption, the poison dart frog does not synthesize its toxin from birth in the wild. It accumulates the poison through its diet by consuming mellurid beetles and toxic ants in its daily foraging. Frogs raised in captivity on an artificial diet lose this lethal chemical arsenal entirely. In the wild, their flamboyant coloration functions as a potent visual deterrent, a warning sign that compels every predator to keep its distance. Even the mighty jaguar would unwittingly forfeit its life if it so much as tasted this tiny creature. The poison dart frog also displays remarkable parental devotion. The father carries tadpoles upon his back, ferrying them to safe pools of water tucked among the foliage. This minuscule creature occupies an utterly inviolable position on the damp forest floor. It stands as the crowning testament to the evolution of chemical weaponry within the ecological skyscraper. But the shadows of the middle story are beginning to stir. A true hunter is returning. The real king of the forest floor stalks through the dense undergrowth. The jaguar emerges from the low thicket. A tawny orange coat, adorned with distinctive rosettes, each bearing a dark spot at its center, renders the cat utterly invisible amid the dappled bars of sunlight on the forest floor. The jaguar is the supreme solitary predator, commanding both the ground and the lower branches of Colombia's dense rainforest. Its gleaming amber eyes lock onto a capybara grazing just a few yards from the water's edge. The jaguar creeps closer, exploiting the wind direction to conceal every trace of its scent from the prey's keen nostrils. A colossal leap of roughly 16 feet tears through the stillness, both forepaws clamping down on the capybara's shoulders with irresistible force. A devastating bite aimed squarely at the base of the skull drives its fangs clean through, and the victim crumples instantly. The jaguar carries its prize into the tall grass with the nonchalance of one lifting a dry leaf. Supreme adaptability allows the jaguar to move with equal ease through tangled forest and deep river alike. It dominates the middle story through sheer muscular supremacy and hunting skills honed over millions of years of evolution. Yet even the king of the forest floor finds its gaze blocked by the dense canopy overhead. The middle story, however, is far from the pinnacle of this great ecological edifice. Above the lush green vaults, roughly 100 feet overhead, lies an entirely different world, one ruled by sunlight. Up there, the branch-swinging residents make their home, and a silent killer patrols from the open sky. Who then holds absolute power when we leave the ground behind and ascend to the canopy? Let us climb now into the towering treetops, where the battle for survival takes to the air. Leaving the damp leaf litter of the middle story behind, we rise to a height of 65 to 130 feet above the forest floor. The canopy is a boundless green ocean, millions of interlocking branches and leaves capturing every last drop of tropical sunlight. This is the sun-drenched roof of the forest, a realm that shelters more than 50% of all species in the entire rainforest. The most agile residents of the daytime canopy are spider monkeys, primates endowed with uniquely specialized locomotion. Weighing approximately 20 pounds, the spider monkey's hand has completely lost its thumb, transforming the remaining 4 fingers into rigid, iron-strong hooks. This adaptation allows them to swing through the branches in a brachiating motion, reaching explosive speeds of up to 19 miles per hour in broad daylight. A long, prehensile tail functions as a supremely flexible 5th limb, capable of supporting the animal's entire body weight. Remarkably, the tip of the tail possesses a patch of skin bearing a unique fingerprint pattern, granting the spider monkey an unshakable grip on branches slick with tropical moisture. They live in a fission-fusion social structure, splitting into smaller foraging parties by day and regrouping as conditions dictate. Their diet consists of up to 80% ripe fruit, a bounty of nutrition harvested from the sunlit crown of the canopy. Sharing the treetops with the energetic spider monkeys is the red howler monkey, the owner of the most thunderous voice in the entire forest. Equipped with a uniquely enlarged hyoid bone beneath the larynx, the male howler transforms its throat into a natural resonance chamber of extraordinary power. Their bellowing roar reaches a staggering sound pressure level of 128 to 140 decibels beneath the open sun. That volume exceeds a live rock concert and can travel up to 3 miles through the dense forest canopy. The daytime howls demarcate territorial boundaries between rival troops and serve as an early warning system for every resident of the upper floors. Any appearance of an aerial predator is immediately detected and broadcast in a deafening cascade of alarm calls. Resting in silent stillness among the high forks of the branches, drifting through the commotion of the monkeys as though it existed in another world entirely, is the 3-toed sloth. Weighing a mere 9 to 11 pounds, This creature moves with almost inconceivable slowness, averaging just 125 feet per day. The sloth's coarse fur is a miniature ecosystem in itself, a garden where symbiotic green algae flourish in the sunlight. This living layer of algae creates a flawless cloak of camouflage, rendering the sloth virtually invisible among the dark green foliage by day. A uniquely constructed neck containing 8 to 10 cervical vertebrae allows the sloth to rotate its head a remarkable 270 degrees to survey its surroundings. Digesting its nutrient-poor diet takes up to 1 full month, compelling the sloth to maintain the absolute minimum expenditure of energy. On average, just once a week, during daylight hours, the sloth ventures down to the forest floor to defecate, a perilous journey where over 50% of all sloth fatalities occur. But even when anchored to the highest branches in broad daylight, the sloth is never truly safe from one proud and formidable assassin. A vast shadow glides silently above the sunlit canopy. From the brilliant blue sky, the Harpy eagle folds its enormous wingspan, roughly 6.5 feet across, and plunges through the canopy like an arrow cleaving the wind. The largest raptor in the Americas, the Harpy eagle wields talons up to 5 inches long, rivaling the claws of a grizzly bear. Its piercing eyes have spotted a sloth hanging motionless from a bare branch in the dazzling sunlight. The strike unfolds in absolute silence. Razor-sharp talons driving deep into the prey's back. The crushing force shatters the victim's vertebrae instantaneously, ending all resistance before a single cry can escape. The Harpy eagle spreads its great wings and bears its 11-pound quarry skyward, straight to a colossal nest perched atop an ancient tree. The harpy eagle's reproductive rate is extraordinarily low. Each pair raises only a single chick in a cycle spanning 2 to 3 years. The young bird depends entirely upon food delivered by its parents throughout the first 12 months of life. The harpy eagle's diet comprises 70 to 90% sloths and primates inhabiting the upper canopy. They are the undisputed sovereign of the treetop realm, the creature that stands at the absolute apex of the vertical food chain. The presence of the harpy eagle confirms a merciless truth. Not a single ecological flaw within nature's skyscraper is entirely safe. Even the sun-drenched penthouse has its own reigning assassin. By controlling the populations of monkeys and sloths, the harpy eagle preserves the verdant health of the canopy itself. Yet the harpy eagle's dominion can only endure so long as every floor beneath it remains stable. Each foot of altitude within this forest is an inseparable link in the great wheel of survival. If a single floor is damaged, the entire ecological skyscraper begins, immediately, to tilt. But Colombia's primeval forest is not shaped solely by slaughter and sharpened claws. Hidden behind the life and death battles of the daytime hours are the quiet builders, the creatures that construct the very fabric of life for the entire forest. Let us now regard the ecological skyscraper from the perspective of its greatest architects of regeneration. These are creatures that carry neither fang nor claw, yet they hold the future of the entire Amazon rainforest in their wings. Soaring through the sun-drenched air by day are flocks of red and green macaws, ablaze with color. With a body length reaching up to 37 inches, these magnificent parrots possess intelligence on par with that of primates. They form lifelong pair bonds lasting up to 50 years, flying together across vast tracts of forest beneath the tropical sun. Powerful beaks crack open the hardest seed casings imaginable, dispersing thousands of large tree seeds across every floor of the daytime forest. Sharing in this mission of creation is the white-throated toucan, wielding a flamboyant bill up to 8 inches long. That lightweight, spongy bill serves as a biological thermoregulation system, allowing the bird to dissipate excess heat efficiently when ambient temperatures exceed 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Feeding primarily on ripe fruit, the toucan swallows seeds whole and deposits them in new locations, planting the forests of the future. At the smallest scale, yet of immeasurable importance, are the hummingbirds, darting like flashes of living gemstone through the daylight. Colombia is the richest nation on Earth for hummingbirds, home to more than 165 species, nearly half the global total. Wings beating at a breathtaking 50 to 80 times per second, with hearts racing at up to 1,200 beats per minute, they maneuver with unmatched agility in every conceivable direction. Visiting more than 2,000 blossoms each day beneath the sun, hummingbirds are the primary pollinators for ecosystems stretching from the Andes to the Amazon. The macaw, the toucan, and the hummingbird take no part in the mortal combat of predator and prey. Yet they are the greatest architects of regeneration. Without their daily pollination and seed dispersal, the canopy would wither. The trees could neither flower nor fruit. Without abundant vegetation, the capybara, the sloth, and the monkey would swiftly perish. Nature's skyscraper is held together by an intricate web of mutual dependence, exquisite in its delicacy, absolute in its necessity. The first light sweeps across the plains, painting the shoulder-high grass in liquid gold. A pride of lionesses lies pressed flat against the earth. Their eyes are fixed, unblinking, on a herd of wildebeest grazing barely 100 feet away. This is not their first ambush, and it will not be their last. A lioness begins to move. "25, then 37 miles per hour. Her speed builds relentlessly, tearing through the stillness like a blade through silk. She hits 50 miles per hour in a single explosive burst. Her entire body, every sinew, every coiled muscle, launches forward like an arrow that cannot be stopped. The wildebeest erupt in panic, kicking up a blinding storm of dust. The lioness does not waver. She locks onto her target, a calf. The distance closes with terrifying speed. Death bears down upon a fragile life. Just as her claws are about to strike, the tables turn utterly and violently. The mother wildebeest drives straight into the predator horns lowered, 700 pounds of fury aimed like a battering ram. The hunt ends in failure not because the prey outran the hunter, but because the hunter gravely underestimated the savage fury of a mother. Across the African savanna, predators succeed in only 1 out of every 4 pursuits. The prey wins 3/4 of the time. But that statistic barely scratches the surface. The true battle on these plains is far more complex than anyone might imagine. For the lion's greatest enemy is not the wildebeest. It is other predators, rivals who will steal a hard-won meal from right under its nose. And sometimes it is the prey itself that kills the lion. Let us step into this war without end. To understand the conflict, one must first understand the battlefield. And that battlefield stretches across some 11,500 square miles. The Serengeti. Each year, millions of wildebeest and hundreds of thousands of zebra trace a colossal circle, roughly 500 miles long, chasing the rains, chasing the fresh grass, chasing life itself. The Great Migration, the largest overland movement of animals on Earth, a living river that flows endlessly around the Serengeti and never stops. A moving banquet, stretching clear to the horizon, laid out for every predator on the savanna. But this banquet has teeth, and this is no peaceful journey on average. Each wildebeest must contend with at least 4 species of major predator along the way. A single wildebeest weighs anywhere from 265 to nearly 600 pounds, large enough to pose a serious danger to anything that dares come close. Fast enough to escape hitting 50 miles per hour in a flat-out sprint, matching a lion stride for stride at top speed. But their true weapon is neither speed nor strength. Their true weapon lies in numbers. The dilution effect, when the herd swells to thousands upon thousands, the odds of any single individual being singled out drop to almost nothing. When a lion charges, the entire herd detonates thousands of animals, bolting simultaneously, scattering in every direction. This is the confusion effect, making it virtually impossible for the predator to lock onto any one target. And here is the most extraordinary thing of all. There is no leader. Not a single individual gives orders. Each wildebeest simply reacts to its nearest neighbor, and from that, a collective intelligence emerges. Scientists call it swarm intelligence, a self-organizing, collective decision-making system that requires no generals, no strategists, only thousands of brains working in concert. The most vulnerable prey is not the slowest runner. It is the one that strays from the herd, the one that is injured, the one walking at the edge, the one that becomes separated at a river crossing. And that is precisely what the predator waits for, the moment a single individual breaks away from the crowd, the moment the defensive wall reveals a crack. But wildebeest do not fight alone. Within the migrating columns, zebra walk alongside them, not by accident, but by design. Zebra crop the tall, coarse grass on top, exposing the shorter, nutrient-rich grass beneath for the wildebeest. One animal's meal reveals another's. Two different species walking the same road, sharing the same reward. This is grazing facilitation, one of the most elegant symbiotic relationships on the savanna. But zebra carry weapons of their own. A single kick from a zebra generates a force of roughly 3,000 pounds more than enough to shatter a lion's jaw. When a predator draws near, the stallion positions himself squarely between the herd and the threat, a living barricade of striped hide and raw muscle. And if surrounded, the herd explodes outward in every direction, a flash expansion, disrupting the attacker in a manner entirely different from the wildebeest's stampede. A sharp, high-pitched alarm, a bark-like call, rings out across the plain, warning the entire herd before their eyes ever register the danger. But within this army of the savanna, there is one species that serves as the dedicated sentinel. The Topi antelope, a biological machine engineered for speed, capable of reaching 43 to 50 miles per hour, faster even than a lion. From atop towering termite mounds, they stand like living radar stations, scanning a full 360-degree sweep of the open plains. They are the tireless watchmen of the grasslands. Unlike smaller antelope species, Topi do not waste precious energy on dramatic vertical leaps. Instead, when they detect a threat, they lock their gaze onto the predator and emit a series of piercing, resonant snorts. The message could not be clearer. You have been seen. Do not bother. Once the cloak of stealth is torn away, the predator is almost always forced to abandon its approach. The element of surprise is gone, and pursuing a swift target, already at peak alertness, is an exercise in futility. Wildebeest rely on overwhelming numbers. Zebra wield bone-crushing kicks. Topi master the art of vigilance and psychological disruption. But only one prey species can make the king of the grasslands genuinely hesitate. The African Cape buffalo, 1,500 to nearly 2,000 pounds of dense, unyielding muscle, encased in hide as thick as armor. This is the only prey animal on the savanna that gives the predator genuine pause before committing to an attack. Atop its skull, a pair of horns fuse together into a structure known as the boss, a solid plate of bone weighing dozens of pounds, so dense that virtually nothing can penetrate it. To bring down a fully grown buffalo, lions require an entire coalition of lionesses working in concert. Anything less is a death wish. Because the buffalo does not flee, the buffalo turns and fights, and when it turns, nothing stands in its way. When a member of the herd is attacked, it bellows a deep, ground-shaking roar, and the entire herd hears. Hundreds, then thousands, wheel around and charge. Ecologists call this mobbing behavior collective counterattack, not blind instinct, but strategy. A single buffalo charge can hurl a lion clean into the air and frequently proves fatal. On the battlefields of the Serengeti, the one with claws and fangs does not always hold the power. But does this wall of defense ever fail? Of course. No wall is truly impregnable, and the predator always finds the crack. Yet, if the defenses are so formidable, why do predators still exist at all? Why haven't they been eliminated from the game? Because the predators possess more than brute force. They have strategy, 4 distinct strategies, wielded by 4 different species, all serving a single purpose. Let us examine how those strategies work and the price each hunter must pay. On the savanna, The lionesses are consummate specialists in the art of the hunt, deploying different skills depending on the prey and the conditions at hand. They can execute solitary takedowns of smaller quarry, or orchestrate elaborate, coordinated ambushes to bring down far larger targets. It is clear that tactics, stealth, and speed are entrusted entirely to these expert huntresses. Today, one of the Super Pride's most accomplished hunters has been tempted by a herd of zebra that has drifted within striking range. But zebra are no easy quarry. They possess extraordinarily acute senses and formidable defenses. Both lion and zebra can reach a top speed of roughly 35 miles per hour, but the zebra holds a decisive advantage. It can sustain that pace far longer. The lioness is a masterful blend of raw power and explosive speed, but her fatal weakness is endurance. She can maintain her maximum sprint for only about 300 feet, which means she must close the distance and catch her target completely off guard. What is more, zebra regularly deploy their powerful hind legs, delivering devastating rear kicks against both rivals and enemies alike. Despite the danger, when the moment arrives, the lioness seizes it, exploding from cover and clamping her jaws around the zebra's throat. The struggle is immense, for a male zebra can weigh twice as much as a lioness. As the first lioness locks onto the throat, the rest of the pride surges forward to assist. One after another, they leap upon the zebra, driving their claws deep, overwhelming the animal through sheer collective force. The relentless pressure, the zebra's strength finally gives way. It crashes to the grass, utterly subdued. As the zebra feast begins, competition for food is ferocious even within a close-knit pride. There is no pecking order whatsoever among the cubs gathered around the kill. Every single lion must fight fiercely, desperately, to claim its own share. The cheetah, the fastest land animal on Earth, does not hunt with strength. It does not hunt with numbers. It hunts with pure, undiluted speed. From a standing start to 60 miles per hour in 3 seconds, rivaling a high-performance sports car. Its body is a masterpiece of natural engineering, sculpted by 40 million years of evolution for one singular purpose: the kill. In 2013, a GPS tracking study led by Alan Wilson, published in the journal Nature, recorded a real-world top speed of approximately 58 miles per hour, lower than the 70 miles per hour figure so often quoted. The long tail acts as both rudder and counterbalance, enabling hairpin turns at extreme speed without losing stability. But speed exacts a terrible toll. Each chase lasts only 20 to 60 seconds, after which the cheetah's core temperature rockets to around 106 degrees Fahrenheit, the absolute threshold before the body begins to destroy itself. It is a race between velocity and death. If the prey is not caught within that first minute, the hunt is over. Not because the prey is faster, but because the cheetah will die if it pushes any further. Success rate: 40 to 58% per chase, the highest of any large cat hunting alone. Because speed demands an unforgiving trade-off: fragility. At just 75 to 119 pounds, the cheetah simply cannot defend its kill against a lion or a mob of aggressive hyenas. And so the cheetah must eat fast, bolting down its meal, before something larger catches the scent. Sometimes there are only minutes between triumph and total loss. "10 to 15% of the prey that cheetahs work so desperately to catch is stolen by lions or hyenas. And optimal foraging theory explains why cheetahs will often abandon a hunt if they detect any risk of injury, because in a body built purely for speed, a single broken leg is a death sentence. The fastest, but also the most vulnerable. If the lioness represents collective power and the cheetah represents speed, then there is a third hunter that has chosen the path of absolute silence. The leopard, the ghost of the savannah. Its coat of rosette markings dissolves into the dappled light, filtering through the canopy, as though the animal simply does not exist. One could walk within 10 feet of it and never know. By day, it lies draped across the kopje's granite outcrops that jut from the grasslands or concealed deep within the woodland. Invisible, patient beyond measure. While lions patrol their territories and cheetahs sweep the open plains in search of prey, the leopard waits, sometimes for hours on end, without so much as a twitch, only its amber eyes tracking the silhouette of its quarry. When the moment comes, it closes to within 16 to 33 feet before launching its strike. That is roughly the distance from where you sit to the far wall of your living room. Its bite force registers at approximately 300 psi, delivering death either by suffocation or by a single, precise bite to the base of the skull. Success rate: approximately 38% lower than the cheetahs, because everything depends on getting close enough without being detected. The hoist hauling the kill up into a tree is the leopard's life insurance. On the ground, lions and hyenas would take everything. This singular ability is the leopard's supreme advantage on the savannah. Without the hoist, the leopard loses up to 20% of its kills to larger competitors. The leopard is the most adaptable large cat on the planet, thriving on the savannah, in rainforest, at altitudes of up to 18,500 feet on Kilimanjaro, in deserts, and even in the sprawl of human cities. When no lions are nearby, it grows bolder, hunting larger prey, even in broad daylight. But when lions are present, the strategy shifts. Spatial avoidance and the vertical escape up into the trees. In the Great War of the Savannah, the quietest hunter is sometimes the one that endures the longest. But there remains a fourth strategy, and it belongs to the most underestimated predator in all of Africa. The African wild dog, weighing just 40 to 79 pounds, the smallest of the continent's major predators, yet with a success rate of 60 to 90%, they are the single most effective hunters on the entire continent. Compare. Lions succeed 30% of the time, cheetahs 50%, leopards 38%, wild dogs 60 to 90. The numbers speak for themselves. The secret: relay hunting. One dog surges ahead in pursuit. When it tires, it falls back. Another immediately takes its place, maintaining the chase at 34 to 41 miles per hour. The prey never gets to rest, never gets to breathe, never gets to slow down. The pursuit stretches on for 10 to 60 minutes. Exhaustion is a death sentence. Once the quarry is brought down, the entire pack coordinates flanking maneuvers, driving prey into open ground or water with the precision of a trained military unit. But before each hunt, the pack holds a vote by sneezing. In 2017, a study published in the Proceedings of the Royal Society B revealed, the more sneezes, the greater the consensus. And once a kill is made, the entire meal is finished in 5 to 10 minutes. Swift, efficient. Because if they linger, lions or hyenas will come to steal it. Every adult regurgitates food for the pups, and the injured, the young eat first. It is a solidarity rarely seen in the world of predators, where most species feed strictly in order of dominance. African wild dogs always retreat when they encounter lions. The weight disparity is too vast, the risk far too high. Every confrontation ends in deference. The paradox of the savannah. The most successful hunter ranks at the very bottom of the power hierarchy, robbed by lions, driven off by hyenas, the most skilled, yet the most powerless. Which strategy do you think is most effective? Collective strength, pure speed, silent ambush, or relay hunting? Let WildVerse know in the comments below. Four strategies, 4 hunters. But they do not merely face their prey, they compete with one another for every last scrap of meat. And sometimes, it is the prey that emerges as the ultimate victor. What happens next will overturn everything you have just seen. Until now, we have watched the hunters attack with power, with speed, with silence, and with the tactics of the pack. But on the savannah, there comes a moment when everything is reversed. The moment the prey becomes the hunter. Afternoon. Across the vast open grassland, the pride's lionesses have fixed their gaze upon an aging buffalo moving steadily within the herd. This is an opportunity to assert dominance. The lionesses fan out with practiced precision, maneuvering to isolate the weakened elder from the stronger members of the group. Sensing the threat, the herd erupts into panic, a thundering stampede that leaves the old buffalo slower and heavier, trailing behind. With ferocious power and unyielding resolve, these supreme huntresses launch themselves at their quarry in a single devastating surge. Heedless of the lethal horns, weapons capable of killing in an instant, their claws sink deep, dragging the buffalo down onto the sun-baked grass. The hunt ends in overwhelming fashion. The old buffalo collapses, a testament to the unrivaled strength and coordination of the pride. After the feast, the tension of the life and death chase gradually dissolves into the fading light of dusk. The lionesses stretch out lazily in the tall grass, half closing their eyes as the cool evening breeze drifts across the plains. Gone are the urgent snarls and pounding footfalls, gone every trace of the ferocity one expects from the savannah's apex predators. Stripped of their fearsome exterior, they are, in this moment, nothing more than oversized house cats, drowsy, languid, rubbing heads, and grooming one another with quiet devotion. Several roll onto their backs with utter abandon, exposing bellies of golden fur bathed in the soft, honeyed light of the late afternoon. A deep, unhurried peace settles over the pride, granting them the freedom to rest and drift into gentle sleep, their energy fully replenished. In the distance, a safe distance, the great buffalo herd continues its unhurried rhythm, as though nothing has happened at all. The death of one member moments ago is not enough to disrupt the order and routine of hundreds of other healthy buffalo. The law of the wild has always been thus. Life and death weave ceaselessly together, each accepting the other as an inevitable strand in the fabric of the natural food chain. The herd lowers its heads to graze on tender young grass, occasionally sipping the cool droplets of evening dew that have gathered along the edges of the shallows. A few calves play with innocent abandon, scampering and nuzzling around their mother's legs in the dimming light of the day's final hour. The massive silhouettes of the herd stand etched against a sky blazing in shades of amber and crimson, composing a tableau of the wild that is at once serene and magnificent. A handful of familiar little oxpeckers alight delicately upon the buffalo's broad backs, calmly picking off the ticks that lurk beneath the hide. There is no lingering hatred, no residual terror between the two sides of the mortal divide, once the brutal hunt has drawn to a close. With bellies full of fresh meat, the lions grow idle and pay no mind whatsoever to the prey grazing serenely along the horizon. That exquisite moment at sunset reveals a truth to the world. Across this vast wilderness, the rhythm of survival does not revolve solely around blood and roaring. Hidden behind every violent encounter lies the absolute, exquisite equilibrium of an ecosystem that has endured for millions of years. An afternoon of upheaval finally closes with a gentle hush where both hunter and herd find a moment of peace beneath the same sky. The spotted hyena, the most misunderstood animal in all of Africa. For decades, documentaries portrayed them as scavengers, cowardly, filthy, merely trailing behind others to steal the leftovers. "50 to 95% of their own food. And what is more shocking still, at Ngorongoro, it is the lions that steal from the hyenas, not the other way around. Natural history turned on its head. The creature branded a coward was, in truth, a formidable hunter, and the one celebrated as king was, in fact, a thief. Spotted hyenas hunt through sheer endurance, pursuing prey at roughly 37 miles per hour over distances of up to 3 miles, running until the quarry is utterly spent. Their stomach acid registers a pH of approximately 110 times more powerful than a human's, enabling them to digest even bone. Hyena droppings are white, that is, the calcium from the bones they consume. A hyena clan can number in the hundreds. Hunting parties are smaller, and their society operates under a strict matriarchy. Every female outranks every male. Success rate when hunting as a group, 26 to 34%, not at all inferior to the lion, despite decades of being maligned as a mere scavenger. Behind that extraordinary capacity for relentless pursuit, the true nature of the spotted hyena reveals itself in moments of quiet repose. Rather than roaming ceaselessly in search of food, as popular myth would have it, they spend the greater part of the day sleeping and restoring their energy. As the African sun grows fierce, the entire clan gathers beneath the shade, transforming a corner of the savannah into a haven of absolute stillness. The raucous calls and piercing cackles of the active hours vanish, replaced only by the steady breathing of dozens of individuals deep in slumber. Contrary to their fearsome reputation, hyena mothers in these moments are remarkably gentle, lying perfectly still as their small cubs clamber and tumble across their backs. Even the lowest-ranking males in the hierarchy find a quiet corner of their own, eyes closed, peacefully absorbing the calm of the clan. Once bellies are full, every trace of tension and savagery from the battle for survival is set aside entirely. The clan sprawls lazily around shallow pools, submerging themselves in the cool mud to escape the scorching afternoon sun. The young cubs wrestle and nip at one another on the grass in carefree play, while the adults lie on their backs at leisure, nuzzling heads and grooming one another tenderly beneath the serene quiet of the savannah. On the savannah, it is not merely the best hunter that survives. It is the one best at keeping its kill. Hyenas steal from lions. Lions steal from hyenas. Buffalo kill lions. Wild dogs are the most skilled, yet the most powerless. Cheetahs are the fastest, yet the most fragile. Leopards are the quietest, yet the most enduring. In this war, there is no absolute victor. So, in the end, who controls the savannah? The answer lies in a picture far larger than any single hunt. Step back beyond the sounds of the chase, beyond the dust clouds of stampeding herds, and look upon this entire ecosystem from above. A vast territory where all the apex predators share a single arena of survival. And millions of herbivores serve as a steady conveyor belt of sustenance, nourishing the entire food pyramid above them. But this relationship does not flow in one direction alone. The predators regulate the numbers of their prey, preventing wildebeest herds from growing beyond control, preventing them from grazing the grasslands to dust. This is top-down regulation, control from above. And when the grasslands are not stripped bare, the vegetation regenerates. The roots hold the soil holds the water. The water feeds the grass feeds the wildebeest. The wildebeest feeds the lion. This is the trophic cascade. A single change at the top of the food chain sends ripples cascading down to the very bottom, from predator to grass, from grass to soil, from soil to water. A circle, not the poetic circle we so often hear about, but a precision-engineered ecological machine where every cog depends upon the next. Beneath it all, volcanic soils from Ngorongoro and Old Doinyo Lengai deliver the minerals, the nutritional bedrock upon which the entire ecosystem stands. Without volcanic soil, there is no mineral-rich grass. Without grass, there is no great migration. Without the migration, there are no predators. Every species in today's story is a single link in this chain. Remove one link, and the entire chain begins to falter. On the savannah, no one is in control. Everything is connected within an invisible web. Predators need prey. Prey need predators to keep the herds healthy, and both need the ground beneath their feet. The war between hunter and hunted is not a war for one side to win. It is a war for both sides to endure. And this war has raged for millions of years, long before humans ever walked the earth. But now, the balance is tipping. The African lion, classified as vulnerable by the IUCN, populations in severe decline, nearly halved in the past 2 decades. Only 8% of their historical range remains. The 2025 Green Status Report assessment largely depleted. The cheetah populations, small and fragmented. 67% live outside protected areas where conflict with humans is at its highest, approaching the threshold of endangered. The African wild dog endangered. Populations scattered across dozens of small, isolated groups, many too small to maintain genetic diversity. Habitat fragmentation is tearing their living space apart, day by day. The leopard vulnerable, numbers uncertain, populations fragmented. West and Central Africa in severe decline. The spotted hyena, least concern, but declining locally. Populations contracting across many regions. The topi, antelope, vulnerable. Several subspecies have already been classified as endangered. The zebra near threatened, declining outside protected areas. The Cape buffalo near threatened, imperiled by bovine tuberculosis. And even the wildebeest, the most abundant of them all, faces an uncertain future as fences cut across its ancient migration routes. Every single species in today's story is in decline. Every one. And these are not abstract statistics. These are figures drawn from the IUCN Red List, gathered by scientists who have devoted their entire lives to the field, and every year the numbers sink lower than the year before. When a predator vanishes, the chain of life loses a link. When the herds shrink, the predators have nothing left to sustain them. Habitat fragmentation does not merely reduce space. It dismantles the very war that has kept the savanna in balance for millions of years. And once that balance is broken, no one knows whether it can ever be restored. Every fence that cuts across the Serengeti is a wound upon the body of the ecosystem. Every patch of land that disappears is a missing piece from a puzzle that nature spent millions of years perfecting. The war on the savanna does not need a winner, but it needs both sides still standing on the field. And the question is no longer, who controls the savanna? The question now is, will the savanna endure long enough for the war to continue? Dawn rises once more over the Serengeti. The sunlight sweeps across the plains again, painting the shoulder-high grass in gold once more exactly as it did on that very first morning. The same pride of lionesses, the same herd of wildebeest grazing beneath the early light. The lioness rises again, drops low into the grass again, deploys the formation once more, wings fanning to either side, the center coiled and waiting, the same tactics, honed across millions of years. She charges again, and fails again. But she will return, tomorrow, the day after, and the day after that, because on the savannah, this war never ends, and neither side is permitted to win. The Serengeti does not belong to the lion. It does not belong to the wildebeest. It belongs to the war itself, the war that, should it ever cease, would bring everything crashing down. Thank you for joining us here at WildVerse. The natural world still holds countless stories waiting to be told. If you have not yet subscribed, there has never been a better moment. We shall see you on the next journey. Branding, welcome to WildVerse, where we explore the most extraordinary stories the natural world has to offer. Beneath the African sun, where the heat smothers even the shade, a pride of lions lies motionless across a scorched golden grassland. They are not resting. They are waiting. About 1,000 feet away, beneath the murky surface of a lake, an adult hippopotamus weighing over 3,000 pounds soaks in the mud. Hippos, the animal responsible for more human deaths in Africa than lions, crocodiles, and venomous snakes combined. Their jaws gape open to 150 degrees, with a bite force approaching 2,000 pounds per square inch, enough to snap a wooden boat in half. But on land, the hippo loses its greatest advantage. No water to conceal its massive frame, no current to propel its bulk. And the lions know it. The lead lioness, the one researchers on the Okavango Delta call Malkia, meaning queen in Swahili, inches toward the water's edge. African lions are the only big cats that live in social groups, and cooperative hunting is their decisive weapon. A mature pride can number up to 20 individuals, with 6 to 8 females serving as the primary hunters, coordinating through signals of eyes, ears, and body position. solo hunting success rates hover around 17%. But when coordinated, that number climbs to 30%, and against a hippo, every percentage point marks the line between life and death. Malkia signals. 2 females flank left, 3 circle behind. Not a sound. The hippo begins moving toward the far bank, where a path leads down to the water. It senses the danger, but on land, its top speed reaches only about 19 miles per hour, while lions can burst to 31 miles per hour in short sprints. Chase begins. Nearly 2,000 pounds of lion muscle charges toward 3,000 pounds of thick hide and bone. Jaws agape. The hippo pivots, revealing canine teeth up to 20 inches long, each weighing nearly 7 pounds, honed razor sharp by the constant grinding of upper and lower teeth. A single bite can kill a lion instantly. Malkia dodges sideways. 10 years of hunting on the savannah have taught her one rule: never confront a hippo head-on. Exhaustion strategy. The pride rotates attacks from multiple angles, forcing the hippo to spin continuously, draining its energy until its hind legs begin to tremble. Lions are the only big cat family members in which males bear a mane, not merely to attract mates, but as a shield protecting the neck and shoulders during territorial battles. A fully grown male weighs up to 500 pounds, crowned with a dark mane, a marker of high testosterone and superior health. Yet today, the hunt belongs to the females. After 40 minutes of confrontation, the hippo is spent. 4 legs can no longer support that immense frame. Malkia strikes the decisive blow. The pride surges in. On the African savannah, no victory comes without blood, and no meal is earned without risking life itself. This is the law. Every species understands the strongest is not the largest, but the one that coordinates. African lions once roamed across 3 continents. Today, only around 20,000 remain in the wild, a decline of more than 43% in just 2 decades. Habitat loss, human conflict, and poaching are driving the king of beasts to the brink, not by nature's hand, but by the very species that calls itself the most intelligent. The hippopotamus faces a similar peril. Classified as near threatened in 2006, the IUCN has since elevated them to vulnerable, with numbers dropping to between 115,000 and 130,000 individuals. Yet this confrontation on the sun-scorched savanna is only one chapter in a far larger story. Because water the resource lions and hippos are fighting over does not end at the rivers of Africa. It flows to the sea, it merges with the ocean, and out there, where warm equatorial currents sweep across the Atlantic, another world awaits. Over 4,000 miles from the Okavango, off the coast of Abrolhos in Brazil, Earth's largest creatures are gathering not to fight, but to sing, to give birth, and to uphold a covenant older than the lion itself. From the sun-scorched savanna to the deepest ocean, from land predators to hidden kingdoms beneath the waves, today's voyage will traverse every layer of life. But before descending into the abyss, the journey begins where light floods the surface, the ocean's skin, where every breath owes a debt to Earth's smallest living things. Phytoplankton, trillions upon trillions of organisms, smaller than a pinpoint, drifting across the ocean's surface, bathed in sunlight. They have no eyes, no brain, no heart. Yet they produce more than 50% of Earth's oxygen, more than the Amazon rainforest, the Siberian taiga, and every forest on land combined. Every second breath belongs to the ocean. Phytoplankton do not accomplish this alone. They form the first link in a symbiotic chain of staggering proportions, where the smallest feed the largest and the largest repay the debt by nourishing the smallest. Scientists call it the whale pump. Blue whales dive hundreds of feet, swallow krill, then surface to release fecal plumes rich in iron and nitrogen, precisely what phytoplankton need to photosynthesize. A flawless cycle. Neither can survive without the other. From this light-drenched surface, the descent begins through radiant coral cities, across the vast open ocean, into perpetual darkness where pressure crushes steel and temperatures melt lead. At every depth, countless species endure through pacts that science has only begun to decode. And the first layer awaits where sunlight pierces the water, painting blue across a city that never sleeps. Coral reefs cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, yet 25% of all marine life calls them home. This is the ocean's most crowded metropolis, where every square inch is claimed, every crevice is territory, and every pact is a contract of life and death. At the heart of this city, among sea anemone tentacles swaying in the current, clownfish live lives that millions know by name, thanks to an animated film. Yet their true story surpasses anything the cinema has ever imagined. Clownfish are among the very few fish immune to anime venom thanks to a specialized mucus coating their entire body, rendering them invisible to their host's stinging cells. In return, clownfish defend their anemone from butterflyfish tentacle grazers and improve water circulation with constant tail fanning. A symbiosis in which neither side can survive without the other. The most stunning detail lies in their ability to change sex. Within each clownfish group, the largest female reigns as leader. Should she die, the dominant male transforms into a female within weeks, assuming command as though fate had written it into the genetic code. Nature does not concern itself with human conventions. Nature concerns itself only with survival. A few feet away, another scene unfolds so strange that without witnessing it firsthand, it would seem like fiction. A grouper, one of the reef's fiercest predators, lies still, mouth agape, while a tiny cleaner shrimp steps between its jaws. Cleaner shrimp operate what marine biologists call cleaning stations, underwater hospitals, where enemies line up and wait their turn. Large fish, small fish, even moray eels, all honor an unwritten treaty. Within the cleaning station, no one bites. Parasites, dead skin, bacteria, the shrimp picks them all off. In exchange, it is protected by the very creatures capable of swallowing it whole in a heartbeat. This is a peace accord more stable than any treaty upheld by nations on land. Not everyone in the Coral City waits patiently, however. Some hunt through cunning, and none do it more terrifyingly than the moray eel. The moray eel possesses something no other fish has: a double set of jaws. The outer set grips prey in the mouth. The second, the pharyngeal jaw, rockets from deep in the throat, dragging the victim inward. This mechanism recalls the xenomorph from the film Alien, but this is no science fiction. This is 400 million years of evolution. Morays do not hunt alone. They partner with groupers, one of the rarest examples of interspecies intelligence in nature. The grouper shudders its entire body before the moray is signaled to hunt together. The moray enters the crevice, flushing prey out. The grouper waits outside to intercept. Two species, two tactics, one shared meal. Leaving the coral city behind, swimming out into the open ocean where the seafloor vanishes into deep blue darkness, the world transforms entirely. No crevices to shelter in, no coral to cling to. Only water boundless, endless, and cold. This is the domain of giants. Blue whales, the largest creatures ever to exist on Earth, dwarfing every dinosaur, surpassing everything 4 billion years of evolution has produced. Nearly 100 feet long, over 200 tons. A heart weighing roughly 400 pounds, the size of a small golf cart, beating a languid 2 strokes per minute during deep dives. Each heartbeat pumps approximately 58 gallons of blood through the aorta, wide enough for a child to swim through. Its tongue weighs as much as a full-grown elephant, 3 to 4 tons. And when its mouth opens, 90 tons of seawater flood in with a single gulp. Immensity does not mean invulnerability. Only 10,000 to 25,000 blue whales remain across all the world's oceans. After centuries of hunting, the most massive creature on Earth has become one of its rarest. Calls reaching 188 decibels, louder than a jet engine, carry up to 1,000 miles through seawater. That is how they locate each other, where a mate may drift thousands of miles away. A blue whale calf enters the world at 23 feet long, 2.5 tons, gaining 200 pounds daily on milk, 10 times richer in fat than cow's milk. Each adult blue whale, in life and in death, stores carbon equivalent to 30,000 trees. Not merely creatures living climate regulation systems. Open ocean does not belong solely to the largest. It also belongs to the finest singer. Humpback whales, 52 feet long, 36 tons, with pectoral fins stretching 16 feet, the longest of any mammal. Each year, they migrate nearly 6,000 miles round trip, from feeding grounds near Antarctica to the warm breeding waters of Abrolhos, Brazil. And along that journey, they sing. Their songs span 20 minutes, repeating for hours, with melodies shifting each year, yet synchronized across the population as though thousands of whales had collectively rewritten the score. Yet there is one individual that scientists call the 52 Hz whale, singing at 52 Hz, while its kind communicates between 15 and 25 Hz. No one hears it. For decades, it has wandered alone across the Pacific, the loneliest creature science has ever documented. When hunting, humpback whales coordinate a technique no other species can replicate: bubble net feeding. A group spirals beneath a school of fish, blowing bubbles that form an impenetrable wall. Fish trapped in the vortex have nowhere to flee as the whales surge from below, mouths agape. Flukes spanning 16 feet slam the surface at 17 miles per hour, elegant and lethal in the same stroke. Still, even here, a hunter commands the caution of ocean kings, one that conquers not through size, but through intelligence. "20 to 33 feet long, weighing up to 10 tons, the orca is the supreme apex predator of every ocean. They do not hunt alone. They hunt in pods, with tactics so sophisticated that marine biologists compare them to military strategy. Today's target, a humpback whale calf, only a few weeks old, swimming close to its mother in warm waters. The orcas split into smaller units, 2 flanking the sides, 3 generating shock waves with their tails, 1 driving straight between mother and calf, forcing them apart. "35 miles per hour in short bursts, faster than any submarine ever built by human hands. The humpback mother fights back. 16-foot pectoral fins crash down like hammers, a single blow powerful enough to kill an orca. The standoff stretches for hours. The orcas do not always prevail. The mother does not always save her calf. A precarious equilibrium between 2 forces, a law the ocean inscribed millions of years ago. Yet the orca's true power lies not in muscle, it lies in the brain. Orcas possess distinct dialects. Each pod speaks a different language, passed from mother to offspring across generations, much the way humans transmit culture. Family bonds last a lifetime. No orca ever leaves the pod. Grandmothers teach grandchildren to hunt. Mothers teach calves to communicate. Knowledge built over millennia, not through genes, but through language. For anyone who still considers them mere machines honed by evolution, consider this story. In 2018, a female orca named Tahlequah of J-Pod, off Washington State, lost her newborn calf. Rather than abandon the body, Tahlequah pushed her dead calf across the surface for 17 days, covering roughly 1,000 miles. "17 days without eating. 17 days carrying a dead child through every wave. That is grief. That is a mother's love any parent on earth can comprehend. Welcome to WildVerse, where intelligence and muscle collide to determine who rules the grassland. Akagera, 3 in the morning, no moon. The savannah holds its breath beneath a canopy of equatorial stars. A silhouette detaches from the darkness low, stocky, moving flush against the earth without stirring a single leaf. Muscle ripples beneath tawny fur, as each paw finds its mark with surgical quiet. The lead lioness halts mid-stride, every sinew locking into position. Both forepaws pin the ground like anchors. Golden eyes, glowing faintly in the starlight, lock onto a herd of Cape buffalo sleeping 130 feet ahead. Behind her, 5 more lionesses fan into a flawless arc, 3 sealing the right flank, 2 cutting off the only retreat toward the papyrus marsh. No sound, no signal, only the accumulated experience of thousands of hunts. Seven lions from South Africa were released into Akagera, 2 males, 5 females. A historic reintroduction that ended more than a decade without an apex predator atop the food chain. Two additional males arrived later to broaden the genetic pool and prevent the bottleneck that threatens small founder populations. A lion dynasty was being rebuilt from nothing, one hunt, one generation at a time. Tonight, the lead lioness does not hunt out of hunger. She hunts to teach her daughter's young lionesses that have never brought down a full-grown Cape buffalo. The bull at the head of the herd lurches upright. Nearly 2,000 pounds of corded muscle, bone, and fighting instinct. The fused horn boss crowning its forehead is as thick as poured concrete. Three seconds. The savannah erupts. Dust spirals upward, blotting out the stars. Roars crash against one another. Through the Akagera night, lion and buffalo, indistinguishable. The youngest lioness sinks her teeth into a buffalo's neck for the first time. She trembles, but she does not let go. Beside her, Her mother pins the prey's hind legs, teaching through action, not sound. When dawn creeps across the savannah, the pride lies around the carcass. Bellies swollen, muzzles crusted red. The young lioness licks blood from her paw, the first lesson complete. Across the African savannah, a question as old as the grasslands themselves, millions of years in the asking, remains unanswered. Brain or brawn in this theater of evolution, which ultimately decides who lives and who dies. Fangs, horns, jaws, sheer numbers, every species on this grassland wields a weapon honed by natural selection. But any creature that relies on a single advantage alone will not endure the trials that Akagera imposes. From the political cunning of baboons to the cross-generational memory of elephants, each species on this grassland carries a strategy sharpened over millions of years of trial and elimination. A blueprint written not in ink, but in survival itself. Lions have the pride, leopards have darkness, crocodiles have time, hippos hold territory beneath the water, and the black rhino carries a horn the entire world covets. Yet intelligence, for all its power, has its limits. In Akagera, there is a threshold beyond which even the most sophisticated neural architecture cannot provide protection. The story begins not with the strongest nor the fastest, but with the most cunning creature on the African grassland. Consider the baboon. Among Africa's wildlife, few species possess a brain as complex, as calculating, and as devious as the Chacma baboon, the largest of all baboon species, and a primate that has elevated politics to an art of survival. With a cranial capacity of roughly 140 cubic centimeters, comparable in relative size to some of the great apes, they rank among the primates, with the highest social intelligence anywhere on the African grasslands. Scientists call this form of cognition Machiavellian intelligence, named after the Renaissance political theorist. Not a brain built for solving abstract equations, but one exquisitely calibrated for manipulation, coalition building, and strategic betrayal. An adult male weighs close to 90 pounds of compact, combative muscle. Canines stretching 2 inches long protrude from powerful jaws, sharper than the fangs of a leopard and capable of inflicting wounds that rival those of any predator. Yet fangs are not the baboon's primary weapon. Strategy, cold, deliberate, and ruthlessly applied is. Within a baboon troop, power does not belong to the largest individual or the one with the longest fangs. It belongs to the one with the most allies, the one who has invested the most in social capital. The alpha male holds his throne not through violence alone, but through a web of carefully maintained alliances, grooming partners for hours each day, guarding their offspring against rival males, sharing choice morsels of foraged food. When the coalition fractures, the alpha fractures with it. Power in this society, much like in human politics, is not inherited, but constructed on loyalty. A deposed male does not merely lose mating rights. He is pushed to the fringe of the troop, stripped of feeding priority, abandoned by former allies. Sometimes the ousted leader dies not at the jaws of a leopard or a lion, but at the hands of the very allies who turned their backs. Loyalty in the wild always carries a price. But the political intelligence of baboons extends far beyond internal power struggles. At Ruaha, Tanzania, field researchers documented a phenomenon that challenged conventional understanding of animal behavior, an interspecies pact forged between mortal enemies. Baboons and lionesses coexist within overlapping ranges without open conflict. This is not peace in any conventional sense. This is a treaty cold, pragmatic, and mutually enforced. The baboon troop serves as sentinels. From elevated ground, they monitor every movement across the grassland. When a mutual threat appears, a leopard slipping into the territory, or an aggressive buffalo closing in, the baboon's alarm call sounds first. The lionesses hear the alarm and prepare muscles coiling, eyes scanning the bush. In return, in an arrangement that defies the usual rules of predation, the lionesses do not attack the troop. A tacit accord, unspoken yet obeyed by both sides. A cost-benefit calculation so sophisticated that only a species possessing advanced social cognition could conceive and maintain it across generations. But every treaty has its boundaries. The baboon's most dangerous enemy is not the lion, it is the leopard. The leopard, weighing roughly 130 pounds of lean, explosive muscle. Its coat covered in rosette markings, each spot a unique spiral that never repeats, like a fingerprint etched in fur. In Akagera, the leopard reigns as the most successful nocturnal predator in the reserve. No noise, no pack, no wasted movement, only darkness, stealth, and a patience that borders on the infinite. After nightfall, the leopard's eyes become weapons. The tapetum lucidum, a mirror-like membrane behind the retina, amplifies light 6 times more efficiently than the human eye. Darkness, the very veil that conceals prey from every other hunter, becomes the leopard's absolute and exclusive advantage. An adult leopard can haul a kill weighing twice its own body mass into a tree more than 30 feet above the ground. Beyond the reach of any earthbound scavenger or rival predator, a risk calculation energy expenditure versus caloric return that only a solitary hunter operating without the safety net of a pack ever needs to make. On the ground, a leopard must compete with lions and other kleptoparasites. Dragging the kill aloft, it keeps the meal for itself. The strategy of the solitary predator. perfected over millennia. No pack to share the spoils, no allies to call upon, only dense muscle, infinite patience, and eyes that pierce the darkest African night. But when confronted by a full baboon troop in broad daylight, 40 or 50 pairs of eyes tracking every movement, every one of the leopard's advantages dissolves. Baboons respond with a tactic known as mobbing. 20, 30, sometimes 50 individuals encircle the predator. Screaming, bearing dagger-like canines, charging from every conceivable direction in a coordinated frenzy. One baboon is prey. 50 baboons, each armed with 2-inch fangs and furious intent, are a predator's worst nightmare. The leopard's success rate when attacking an adult baboon in daylight, inside the troop, is virtually zero. Baboons account for less than 5% of the leopard's diet. That statistic tells the entire story. But darkness rewrites the equation entirely. When night falls and the troop retreats to cliff faces for safety, those individuals sleeping at the outer edge, Ozutis, the youngest, the weakest, the least socially connected, become devastatingly easy targets. No alarm sounds, no mobbing rally forms, no alliance forged in daylight can rescue the one caught in deep, vulnerable sleep at the cliff's outer edge. The leopard scales the rock face in absolute silence, claws gripping stone without producing a whisper of sound. It selects its quarry, strikes, and vanishes before the troop can wake. Machiavellian intelligence, the baboon's greatest evolutionary asset, saves it by day. But after dark, when allies cannot see and coalitions cannot form, that intelligence is rendered worthless. And if the leopard is the enemy the baboon can see, there is another threat, one entirely invisible. The African rock python, more than 16 feet of coiled, patterned muscle, weighing over 220 pounds, Africa's largest serpent. A masterpiece of natural selection, tens of millions of years of evolution, distilled into a single instrument, engineered for one purpose alone, constriction. The rock python does not chase its prey. It waits, for hours, for days, for weeks if necessary. Lying motionless beneath a blanket of decaying leaves, its heat-sensing labial pits scanning the surroundings until the quarry steps within reach. When it strikes, the speed defies the naked eye. A blur of patterned muscle launching forward at a velocity that the human brain cannot process in real time. Coils lock around the victim in a single, suffocating instant. With each exhaled breath, the python tightens its grip a fraction more. Researchers have demonstrated that death arrives not from suffocation, but from cardiac arrest. The python detects the prey's heartbeat through its own skin. Each pulse grows fainter. The snake knows precisely when the victim has died. Only when the heart ceases entirely does the coil relax. Tens of millions of years of evolution have produced a flawless cardiac monitor, a biological pressure sensor wrapped in scales. Against this primordial predator, all political intelligence, all carefully negotiated alliances, all coordinated mobbing tactics are rendered meaningless. The Machiavellian brain, the baboon's supreme evolutionary advantage, is utterly powerless before pure, unhurried compression. But in Akagera, brute force does not always prevail. Leave the baboon troop and its Machiavellian politics behind, and step into terrain where the rules are written in bone and horn, and every footfall could be the last. Akagera. Over 430 square miles of rolling grassland, sun-bleached open woodland, and papyrus-choked wetland, Central Africa's largest protected wetland ecosystem. A landscape where every survival strategy ever devised by evolution is put to its ultimate test. "18 eastern black rhinos were translocated from South Africa in a landmark conservation operation. The species once native to these hills had been absent from Rwanda for more than a decade, hunted to local extinction. Five more individuals from European zoos joined afterward. Each one carries on its shoulders the weight of an entire critically endangered species on the IUCN Red List. In Akagera, they were given a second chance. Weighing more than 2,200 pounds of solid, armor-plated frame, a keratin horn stretching beyond 2 feet, growing continuously throughout the animal's lifetime. The black rhino is the living embodiment of primal, ungovernable power. The kind of power that needs no strategy, no coalition, no cunning, just mass and fury channeled through a single devastating point. When threatened, the black rhino charges head-on at speeds exceeding 30 miles per hour. No calculation, no hesitation, only a 2-foot horn and 2,000 pounds of momentum. The rhino's eyesight is exceedingly poor. It is virtually blind beyond 30 feet, but hearing and smell compensate for everything. Ears rotate independently, like satellite dishes, scanning every direction. The rhino's olfactory system detects an intruder from more than half a mile away, even against the wind. Yet that simplicity, raw force wielded without intellect drove this species to the brink of extinction. The keratin horn became the most coveted commodity on the black market, and no survival strategy could outrun a bullet. Under African Parks management, Akagera's black rhinos are guarded with iron resolve, 24-hour armed patrols, aerial surveillance, canine tracking teams, and rangers who stake their lives on this species' future. Their comeback is proof of a deeper truth. Sometimes the greatest strength comes from the outside, from the will of humans determined to right a wrong. But not every confrontation here demands horns or fangs. One species fights with the simplest weapon of all height. The Maasai giraffe, the tallest animal on Earth. An adult male rises to nearly 20 feet, its heart pumping blood upward at a pressure twice that of any other mammal. A tongue stretching 18 to 20 inches, coated in dark violet melanin, a natural shield against ultraviolet radiation. Every day, the giraffe extends that prehensile tongue through forests of razor-sharp acacia, thorns, spines capable of puncturing a leather boot, curling individual leaves with a dexterity that few species on the continent can rival. Atop the skull sit two ossicones, not hollow like antelope horns, but solid bone throughout. In older males, calcium deposits thicken the bone over time, adding layer upon layer of density. The ossicone transforms from a blunt stub into a lethal close combat weapon. When two males compete for mating rights during the breeding season, they engage in a ritual combat known as necking, one of the most striking displays of strength in Africa. Necks exceeding 6 feet sway like organic suspension bridges, then slam into each other with bone-jarring force. Each blow delivers the kinetic energy of a heavyweight punch. The crack of impact carries far across the grassland, audible from hundreds of yards away. Yet despite the violence of the display, most contests end without bloodshed or lasting injury. The weaker male retreats. The stronger earns mating rights. Ritual governs these encounters, though a precisely placed strike to the cervical vertebrae can render an opponent unconscious. Maasai giraffes from Kenya were reintroduced to Akagera. Today, their silhouettes stand as living icons of this reborn landscape. But Akagera is not shaped solely by the giants that tear open the sky. When the gaze drops below the acacia canopy and into the sun-scorched grass, the rhythm of the grassland grows harsher, more urgent, and infinitely more dangerous. At ground level, violence is no longer a display of dominance or ceremony. This arena demands armored warriors carrying weapons that can truly kill. The roan antelope, weighing up to 660 pounds, standing nearly 5 feet at the shoulder, with a distinctive black and white facial mask, one of Africa's largest antelope species. Akagera stands as one of their last critical strongholds on the entire African continent, a refuge where this declining species still thrives in viable numbers. Curved horns sweeping backward from the crown, ridged along their length and tapering to lethal points. These are not ornamental. They are genuine combat weapons, capable of goring any attacker reckless enough to press the charge. A single thrust from a roan antelope can puncture a lion's abdomen. Few predators dare a head-on confrontation. But the most notable trait of the roan antelope is not individual strength or the sharpness of its horns. It is how they organize when danger arrives. Roan antelope society operates as a strict matriarchy. The dominant female leads every migration. Males patrol the perimeter and defend against threats. When a predator approaches, the roan herd does not scatter in panic. It does not flee. It turns and faces the threat. They form a phalanx, adults facing outward, each pair of curved horns aimed at the enemy. Calves are pushed into the center of the protective ring. This formation transforms the herd from prey into a fortress bristling with blades. Lions see a wall of horns and usually choose an easier target. Organizational intelligence. The way each individual knows its position and holds that position as death bears down. Which strategy do you believe is most effective, individual strength or collective formation? Share your thoughts with WildVerse in the comments below. But in Akagera, all of these strategies, fangs, horns, stripes, formations, are tested by a single truth. The wilderness has no rules. The strongest can fall to the most patient. The smartest can lose to the most numerous. Ahead, where the golden grassland meets the papyrus-choked marshland, the fiercest and most brutal confrontations in all of Akagera lie in wait. Where raw power, underwater territory, and savage force collide in a natural arena without a referee. The hippopotamus, a creature most of the world considers gentle and almost comical, round barrel belly, small beady eyes, yawning lazily beneath the equatorial sun. That image is the most dangerous illusion in all of Africa. Hippos kill more people than any other large mammal on this continent. More than lions, more than crocodiles, more than Cape buffalo. An adult male weighs up to 4,000 pounds of densely packed bulk, its body stretching beyond 16 feet from snout to tail. Standing on the riverbank, legs half buried in mud, it appears sluggish and inoffensive. But beneath the surface, the hippo moves with astonishing speed. Feet touching the riverbed, the body glides through water like an armored submarine. On land, they reach nearly 30 miles per hour, faster than any human sprinter. At Lake Ihema, the beating heart of Akagera's wetlands, hippo density ranks among the highest in East Africa. Herds of more than 50 jostle on the water's surface, each occupying a position won through blood. The hippo's bite force reaches nearly 2,000 psi, 3 times that of a lion. Jaws gape to almost 150 degrees, the widest opening of any living mammal. Lower canines grow up to 20 inches long, continuously self-sharpening as they grind against the upper tusks. Not for eating hippos graze on grass. The canines exist for a single purpose: to kill. Hippo skin measures nearly 2 inches thick along the back and flanks natural armor that a lion's fangs can barely penetrate. But that hide contains no sweat glands. Under the African sun, the hippo dehydrates rapidly. That is why it spends 16 hours a day submerged. The skin secretes a viscous red fluid once called blood sweat. In reality, it is a blend of hipposudoric and norhipposudoric acid, a natural barrier against ultraviolet radiation and bacteria. Modern science has managed to decode and synthesize this very compound in the laboratory. Yet, it remains profoundly unstable, breaking down almost instantly. 40 million years of evolution have bestowed upon the hippopotamus a flawless, remarkably stable sunscreen, an exquisite biochemical masterpiece that human ingenuity has yet to fully replicate for our own practical use. Beneath the surface of Lake Ihema, bull hippos establish territories with merciless aggression. Every stretch of river, every deep pool has an owner. Trespassers are attacked immediately. Two bulls charge each other, jaws flung wide, tusks clashing with enough force to split a wooden boat in half. Territorial battles can last for hours. Blood stains the water red. The loser carries scars for life if it survives at all. On land, the hippo becomes an entirely different creature. Each night, they leave the water to graze, consuming roughly 80 pounds of grass before dawn. They follow fixed routes, hippo trails, worn deep into the riverbank across generations. These ancient paths become natural water channels, reshaping the topography of the wetland. Hippo dung, thousands of pounds deposited on the lake floor every day, is the primary nutrient source for the entire aquatic ecosystem. Fish, algae, microorganisms all depend on this cycle. Scientists call the hippo an ecosystem engineer, a species that does not merely inhabit its environment, but rebuilds it in ways no other creature can replicate. Female hippos give birth underwater, a newborn weighing roughly 100 pounds, and it must swim to the surface to draw its very first breath. A hippo mother defends her calf with ferocity beyond all measure. Crocodiles, lions, even fellow bull hippos, anything approaching the calf faces jaws flung wide open. But intelligence is not the hippo's forte. They do not forge coalitions like baboons. They do not coordinate hunts like lions. They do not communicate with the subtlety of elephants. The hippo fights with the simplest tools available: raw strength, territory, and aggression that accepts no negotiation. When lions approach the waterline after dark, the hippo does not flee. It charges straight at the predator. Lions, for all their tactical sophistication, usually choose to retreat. In Akagera, the hippo stands as proof of a blunt reality. Sometimes, intelligence cannot defeat pure force. Sometimes, the biggest, the most aggressive, simply wins. With more than 200 individuals already ranging beyond the park's borders, Akagera's hippo population is booming proof that brute force remains a strategy endorsed by time itself. The contest between intellect and raw power in Akagera has no final act. It plays out every night, when hippos leave the water and tread into the lion's domain. And in the midst of that nightly contest between cunning and power, a third species stands unflinching, unmoved by both lion and hippo. The African Cape buffalo, the Black Death, the name bestowed by African hunters upon the animal that even lions approach with caution. An adult bull weighs close to 2,000 pounds, standing more than 5.5 feet at the shoulder, its gaze carrying the flat hostility of an animal that has survived everything. A body packed with corded muscle, sheathed in a hide so thick that tsetse flies struggle to penetrate it. Older bulls carry dozens of scars, each a testament to encounters with lions they survived. But the most fearsome weapon sits atop the skull, the fused horn boss, a single slab of bone shielding the entire cranium. A charge from a full-grown buffalo delivers enough force to flip a lion's body through the air. Lions know this. They have learned the cost of underestimating that horn. A pride will almost never attack a solitary bull standing its ground. But when lions target a calf or an aging cow lagging behind the herd, the equation shifts entirely, and the buffalo's collective fury awakens. The herd responds with a counterattack. Adults wheel around, line up shoulder to shoulder, and charge directly into the lion pride with horns lowered. Hundreds of buffalo, each close to 1,000 pounds, stampeding in unified fury. The ground trembles. Dust billows upward, obscuring everything. Lionesses are forced to release their kill and run. In a war of numbers, the heavier side always prevails. Cape buffalo routinely return to rescue herd members already seized by lions, the only species in Africa that does this systematically. Not out of sentiment, but because the herd needs every individual to sustain its defensive strength. The individual power of a Cape buffalo is formidable, but the collective power of the herd is nearly invincible. Sharing Akagera's landscape, another species exists smaller, swifter, and precise, down to the fraction of an inch, the serval. Weighing roughly 30 pounds, barely a fraction of a lion's mass, yet possessing the longest legs of any cat relative to body size, giving it the proportions of an athlete sculpted for explosive vertical power. Oversized satellite dish ears rotate a full 180 degrees independently of each other, forming a flawless biological radar that misses nothing. They register every sound the grassland produces. The scratch of a mole rat shifting through underground tunnels, the muffled flutter of a quail beating its wings through waist-high grass, even the faint rasp of an insect's legs crossing bare soil. The serval's hunting success rate stands at 50% double that of the lion, and one of the highest of any wild cat on Earth. Not because it is stronger, because it is more precise. The serval wastes no energy. Every leap is a calculation angle, distance, wind speed. Capable of 50 miles per hour and vertical leaps exceeding 5 feet from a standing position, the serval transforms every hunt into calculated artistry. It needs neither the lion's power, nor the hippo's jaws, nor the buffalo's formation. It needs only precision, and in Akagera, precision sometimes outvalues everything. Lions, hippos, Cape buffalo, serval, each species carries a distinct strategy: strength, brute force, numbers, precision. But the answer to the opening question, brain or brawn, lies with none of them. It rests with the final two species, two creatures, representing the oldest forms of intelligence. One wields patience, the other wields memory. Consider the patient one first, the creature that has outlasted every other predator on this list, the Nile crocodile. A reptile that has persisted, virtually unchanged in form, for more than 200 million years, surviving all 5 mass extinction events that reshaped life on Earth, including the asteroid impact that erased the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. While millions of species vanished, the crocodile endured, unchanged, no need for change. The design was perfected from the start. Bite force, exceeding 3,000 psi, among the most powerful jaw pressures ever recorded in a living animal, strong enough to crush the femur of a full-grown zebra in a single closing motion. Along the jawline, thousands of microscopic integumentary sensory organs, dome-shaped pressure receptors unique to crocodilians, line the skin, each one 10 times more sensitive than a human fingertip. The crocodile detects the faintest ripple on the water. An antelope drinking 10 feet away, the crocodile knows its exact position, its weight, and its drinking rhythm. And it waits, not for minutes, not for hours. The Nile crocodile can fast for months on end. Heart rate drops to just a few beats per minute. Metabolism falls to a bare minimum. The body shifts into an energy conservation mode that no mammal can emulate. Patience, not as a virtue, but as a survival strategy deployed on a scale where time itself becomes a weapon no warm-blooded creature can wield. When prey steps within range, the strike unfolds in a fraction of a second. Jaws snap shut. Then comes the death roll, the armored body spinning on its axis to wrench the victim apart. But the very jaws that deal death with such mechanical precision are also, paradoxically, the gentlest instruments in the wild. A female crocodile incubates her eggs for 80 to 90 days, fasting, guarding the nest without leaving it for a single second. 3 months without food. Her body loses up to 30% of its mass, but her amber eyes never leave the mound of earth that holds her future. When the eggs hatch, the mother uses her own jaws capable of 3,000 psi, to gently lift each hatchling and carry it to the water. Bite force applied. zero. Not a single pound of pressure. Jaw control at a level of finesse that science has yet to fully explain or replicate. The most savage power and the most absolute tenderness, two extremes that seem irreconcilable yet coexist within the body of a single creature. Yet 75% of crocodile nests are destroyed before they hatch by Nile monitors, by baboons, by nature itself. The mother knows this, knows the odds are stacked against her clutch. And still she guards, still she fasts, still she waits, day after sun-baked day. Patience, not blind instinct, but a decision to invest every reserve of energy in the next generation, despite knowing that most will not survive. Is that intelligence? Or is it something deeper still? Something 200 million years of evolution have carved into bone? The answer may lie with the final species in this story, the one whose weapon is not force, not stealth, but something far older. The African elephant, the largest land animal on Earth, and perhaps the species with the most extraordinary memory. 26 orphaned calves from Bugesera were brought to Akagera. 26 small lives, stripped of mothers, stripped of herds, stripped of everything an elephant needs to understand the world. Today, Akagera's elephant population exceeds 133 individuals. From 26 to over 130. That revival stretches across more than half a century. An adult elephant requires between 330 and 440 pounds of food each day. It must spend 16 of every 24 hours eating to sustain its weight. Every footstep an elephant takes reshapes the landscape. They topple trees to strip bark. They excavate earth for minerals. They carve pathways that dozens of other species follow. But what makes the elephant truly exceptional is not its size or its appetite. It is the brain, and what that brain remembers. The temporal lobe of the elephant, the brain region responsible for memory, is larger than that of any other land animal. The matriarch, always the oldest female, remembers the location of water sources from 30 years past. During drought, that memory is the difference between life and death for the entire herd. Elephants communicate through infrasound frequencies below the human hearing threshold, transmitted through the ground over distances exceeding 6 miles. Fat pads in their feet detect these seismic vibrations. Elephants listen with their feet. A matriarchal society. Knowledge passed from mother to daughter. Each generation adds another layer of memory to the herd's survival map. And when a member of the herd dies, elephants do not simply walk away. They do something that no other land mammal does. They stand beside the fallen body. Trunks reach down to touch the cold remains with unmistakable gentleness. Sometimes they stand for hours in silence, no feeding, no movement, no sound. Elephants return to the bones of fallen companions years afterward. They recognize the bones of their own herd members and linger longer than they would beside the bones of strangers. Emotional intelligence. Not abstract language, not political strategy, but the capacity to remember and the capacity to grieve. Akagera today, home to lions, leopards, Cape buffalo, elephants, and black rhinos, is a complete Big Five landscape. This revival ranks among the most remarkable conservation achievements anywhere on the African continent. The transformation of a park, once ravaged by unchecked poaching and civil conflict, into a thriving, self-sustaining ecosystem. Under African park stewardship, the wildlife's greatest enemy, humankind, has become its ally. The white-backed vulture, a critically endangered species teetering on the edge of continental extinction, is finding sanctuary within Akagera's protected borders. With a wingspan exceeding 7 feet, they ride thermal currents to altitudes of 10,000 feet. From that height, their acute eyes detect a carcass 4 miles away. A flock of 50 descending on a carcass can strip a 200-pound antelope down to bare bone in 20 minutes flat. No cleanup crew in the natural world operates with greater speed or efficiency. The vulture's stomach carries a pH close to 1 acidic enough to neutralize anthrax, cholera, and botulism bacteria. They cleanse the dead, preventing disease from spreading. Lose the vulture, and the ecosystem loses its immune system, the invisible sanitation network that has kept African grasslands free of epidemic disease for millennia. Akagera understands this truth intimately. Across this vast African landscape, after all the blood and silence, the opening question has finally found its answer. Brain or brawn in the great arena of Akagera, which ultimately decides who lives and who dies. The answer after 200 million years of evidence is neither one alone. Baboons survive through cunning, lions through the pride, hippos through brute force, Cape buffalo through numbers, roan antelope through formation, the serval through precision, leopards through the dark. Crocodiles endure through patience, the black rhino through 11th-hour human intervention. But elephants survive through something no other species can match: memory. In Akagera, the ultimate survivor is not the strongest, not the fastest, not the smartest, and not the most aggressive. It is the one that remembers the last drought, remembers the dried well, remembers the paths of its ancestors. The one that remembers the past is the one that lives into the future. Thank you for journeying with WildVerse. The natural world still holds countless stories waiting to be told. If you have not yet subscribed, now is the perfect time. We will see you on the next expedition. The lion, sovereign of the savannah. Its authority is found not in solitude, but in family. Its power is forged in cooperation. This is the kingdom of the lion, a world where courage is measured in protection. A pride is not merely a collection, but a structured society, bound by unwritten laws. The heart of the pride is the lioness's sisters, mothers, and tireless hunters. Together, they weave a network of cooperation, a living tapestry of kinship and instinct. A newborn cub is not its mother's charge alone, but the child of the entire pride. For the young, life begins as a game, honing the skills they will one day need. But beneath such innocence lies a harsher truth. Every dawn is a wager, and a constant hunger drives the hunt. The savannah is both generous and cruel. It offers life in abundance, yet it exacts a heavy price for every meal. To eat, the lions must hunt, and their strength lies in their unity. Every footstep is calculated, every movement a whisper of silent communication. Their golden coats blend perfectly with the sun-scorched grasses, a lethal camouflage. Hunting as a pride, they employ sophisticated tactics. Some lionesses drive the prey toward an ambush, where others lie in wait to strike. A single misstep from the prey is all it takes. In a breathtaking instant, the chase is over. Tonight, the pride will feast. But rivals do not only come from their own kind. In the shadows, the hyenas watch. Intelligent and relentless, they wait for a moment of exhaustion after the kill. Born survivors, spotted hyenas possess a muscular frame adapted for endurance and power. They live in large, matriarchal clans, led by an alpha female who holds absolute authority. Contrary to myth, hyenas are not just scavengers. They are intelligent, strategic hunters. Their cooperative abilities and communication skills can rival those of some primates. Their infamous laugh is no chaotic chorus. It is a complex language of identity and position, a way to summon the clan or declare status. In the contest for food, lions often have the upper hand. Studies show that around 60% of conflicts involve lions stealing kills from hyenas. When hyena numbers are great, however, the balance of power can shift. A clan of 15 to 20 hyenas can overwhelm even a formidable pride of lions. This fierce competition is integral to maintaining the ecosystem's equilibrium. Above, the vultures circle, tireless sentinels, the patient opportunists awaiting a turn. But perhaps the most dangerous adversary is no scavenger. The African buffalo, immense and unpredictable, can turn a predator into prey in an instant. For the lions, they are both a great prize and a grave peril. The pride watches from a distance, muscles tensed, eyes fixed. The battle is a maelstrom of dust and fury, where every second counts. The lions must work as one, scattering the herd to isolate a weaker member. But unlike the lion, who rules by the strength of the pride, or the hyena, who survives through tenacity, another predator has but one ace: speed. Here in Kafue National Park, the Southeast African cheetah is the fastest land mammal on Earth. Capable of speeds exceeding 60 miles per hour, its body is a masterpiece of engineering. Unlike most cats, the cheetah is diurnal. It hunts in the golden hours, the early morning and late afternoon, to avoid confrontation with larger predators. In one spectacular burst, it launches into the chase, reaching its top. Its spine is not bone, but a living bow, propelling it across the savannah, not by running, but by flying low over the ground. And yet, the cheetah's success rate is only 50%. The exertion of such an explosive movement pushes its body to its thermal limits. It cannot eat immediately, but needs 5 to 10 minutes to cool down a window of extreme vulnerability. While the cheetah commands the day, another shadow masters the night.